Okay, so you've completed a sampler and you're now ready to save. What do? So just like with Photoshop where we would save 2 times, right? Because we had the working file that was the .psd where we worked with that in Photoshop. There's going to be a working file for Illustrator, and that's with all your layers and the file that you can still make adjustments to. So we always want to save that. That is a .ai file. So I'm first going to go ahead and say File, Save As. And I'm going to click on your computer. And we're going to go ahead and go to click on your computer again. Sorry, it's twice. Go to your Google Drive. Remember, if you have a question mark next to your Google Drive, you need to sign in to your Google Drive, and you can do that through the Start menu of your computer. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in my drive. Find whatever folder you're going to put it in. I'm actually going to put it in my downloads just because I don't need this file. All right, so it has a name on there. If you didn't have a name, if it just said untitled, go ahead and give it a name now. And the type is going to be, by default, .ai, an Illustrator file. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. All right, and then the second time, this is going to come up, just say okay. The second time, I'm not actually going to save or save a copy. It's a little bit different. I need to export my file. So this is going to give me my JPEG that I can turn in. So I'm going to say File, Export. So I'm not going to save or save as. I'm doing Export and Export As. So everybody glance up here really quick at the projector. Export, Export As. This is how you get the JPEG file. All right? And, it would make more sense if they would just change the language, but that's okay. So save type. This is where I'm going to drop down to JPEG. You can also get a PNG if you need. Sometimes you need a PNG because it has transparency built in. For this class, we're just going to use JPEGs most of the time. So I'm going to do JPEG. And here's one thing to note. There's this little tiny checkbox and it says Use Artboard. You're going to click on that because you've already noticed with Illustrator, sometimes I can put stuff in this gray space outside of my document. So I want to click Use Artboard so that way only what's on the piece of paper on that artboard is exported, because some of that other stuff is just scraps. And now I'm going to click Export. And then another menu is going to come up. Make sure that this is always dragged up to maximum. The color mode, it doesn't really matter. You can do CMYK or RGB. Either of those is fine. I'm going to do RGB because RGB is like what the screen uses. And then resolution, you want to make sure that click this drop down because I think it might default to 72. I want to do 300 because 300 is what we need for printing. That's high resolution. So RGB, maximum, and 300 PPI high. Don't worry about these other two boxes. And I'm going to say OK. And that's going to give me my JPEG file. So let's go ahead and take a look here in my download folder. Hopefully this opens. Here we go. There are my downloads. You can see this is my AI, so that's my working file. And then right here, this is the JPEG that I can put onto Schoology and I can send it to my friends and everyone can see this without needing Illustrator. Okay, so the first one is, just to quickly review, you are, where did Illustrator go? Where are you, Illustrator? There you are. So File, Save As, that's where you're going to do your Illustrator file, right? And then the second time is File, Export, Export As, and this is where you're going to choose JPEG, click Use Artboard, Export, and then make sure that you have this on maximum and 300. Then you'll say OK. And that's how you save in Adobe Illustrator.